This is Street Connect, a series that uncovers shared experiences between strangers through honest, meaningful conversations that feel healing. Come with me as I close the gap between you and someone you may have never even noticed. My name is Janelle Hill, and I'm your Street Connect.
The moment you stopped us, I was like, oh my gosh, is this my new friend?
You know it when you feel it, right?
Yeah.
It's like immediately you're like, yes.
Yeah, because sometimes like people come up to you and you just know like, no. But like, I just felt like, yeah. Like even before you started saying anything, I just felt like, yeah. I'm like for it. Whatever this is, I don't even know what it is yet, but I'm like kind of with it already.
Can you tell me about your deepest pain?
Oh my gosh, we are going deep. So I lived in Korea. I was born there, and I moved here, and I feel like the way we've just like, as like a family unit, just like dealt with sort of the challenges of being here was to sort of not take pain so seriously. And like obviously I think it is like a survival mechanism, right? Just to, allow yourself to like, okay, like I have to move forward. Like there's no other option, right? Like obviously like bad things happen and like there's struggles, but it's like, don't dwell on it, just like push forward kind of a thing. So, and like obviously I think related to that is like there's like very big mental health challenges in Asian American communities because of that like historical legacy, let's say. So it's sometimes like not natural for me to like dwell on pain or think about it too much. And like obviously that's not to say like, oh, I'm like so strong, like nothing bothers me, but I just feel like it doesn't come natural to me. And like maybe that like manifests in like different ways. Like, like I believe that like sometimes like if you don't like deal with stuff, like it can get buried and like it can like fester in a different way and manifest in ways that like it like morphs into something that you're not even familiar with, but it's still just as like toxic in a way. So much of my life, I felt like I just wanted to be not seen or like not be so present. Like I've always like sort of felt a comfort in being one of the side characters. Someone who's like good, uncomplicated, but like not the center of the story, because that felt, something about that felt like uncomfortable to me. So like, I still feel like I sometimes struggle with like attention. I think there is a part of me that like still feels like an outsider, still feels like weird occupying like certain spaces. So I think that's something that I'm dealing with and trying to sort of like, work on.
Like there's just this feeling that we should, as Black women, that we should make ourselves smaller. You know what I mean? That we shouldn't like occupy a lot of like time or people's energy or space or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I guess like just like growing up as like a queer person and like an immigrant and someone who, is a person of color in a very predominantly sort of white space, I feel like without even being like conscious of it, like I like resonate with what you're saying, just like wanting to, I guess out of a sense of like safety or security, like minimizing yourself without even like thinking of it as like minimizing yourself. You're just thinking of it as like,
This is how I have to
this is like how I have to exist, and this feels like my base sort of mode of like navigating the world. And I feel like I almost didn't recognize how that kind of impacts you, just like in a way that you almost feel like you're not fully occupying yourself in the way that we all should feel the liberty to kind of like take up space and be unapologetic about it. It took me a while to come into that realization. It's not that I always thought like, oh, I'm doing great and like everything's perfect. It was definitely not that. Like I feel like I always felt there was like something amiss, but I almost couldn't like place what that was. Even though like looking back, it feels like very obvious to me, like why, I tend to like minimize myself and like doubt myself in like certain ways and feel like not good enough almost, or like not worthy enough of like trying to be in certain spaces or even like occupying just like my life to the fullest.